further ado, to introduce the speaker. And I've known this person for ever since I've been here, and I've always enjoyed his recovery. I've always enjoyed his message, his sponsorship family, and he's just always been a joy and a light in my recovery. And nothing further ado, I'm going to give you George Day. Help somebody. Help us,
Hey, family, I'm an addict named George. Hey, George. It's always an honor and privilege to have an opportunity to, share my experience, strength, and hope on the gift of recovery. I've done this a lot, man, and sometimes it can be really overwhelming, especially when you do it at home. It's a good topic, the theme of this event, stability. And I was thinking about that and reflecting upon that. And what is this process really all about? This is a men's conference. So most of us came here chronologically men. But recovery is a process, man. And I had to start getting in touch with how this process has worked in my life, man. Came to Narcotics Anonymous at the age of 30. I had a wife and 2 kids, and it was a process that started like I was a man when I got here, but I need to start growing up. It was a process of growing up, man. I really believe this process is about growing up, growing wise, then growing old. And I had to come to Narcotics Anonymous and really get in touch with the fact and the reality that physically I was a grown man getting here. But what's the difference between a boy and a man? It's responsibility. And I lacked the ability to maintain my personal responsibility. You know what I mean? So it created my own problems over and over and over again. Always trying to blame a person, place, or a thing for the situation and condition that I found myself in. Always blaming. It was the white man's fault. It was because I didn't have no father. Because we moved all this goddamn time. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't have done that. It was always somebody else's fault. I didn't have the ability to look at myself until I got to the program in Narcotics Anonymous. So, we've grown up together in the program in Narcotics Anonymous. I didn't have the ability to grow up on my own because I was emotionally immature, hypersensitive, and totally self-centered. So you got all that shit going on with you. You ain't going to do nothing but get old and stupid and sick. And that's the way I was. That's how it was when I got here. I was feeling stupid. I was getting old. And I became very sick as a result of that, man. And I began to grow up when I got to the program in Narcotics Anonymous. When I began to find myself around men. And a lot of the men that played an important part of my life is in this room today. And they don't have anything to do with clean time. It got something to do with presence. It got something to do with experience. It got something to do with being around people. It got something to do with seeing living examples, man. How to be and how not to be in this process. That is the purpose of this fellowship, for us to figure out how we want to be and how we don't want to be when we get here. Because you're already a man if you get here and you live. Most of us get here in our 20s. And the reality of my experiences, my 20s damn near killed me. Because I was trying things that I shouldn't have been trying. I put myself in a position to be hurt or killed. And I never claimed to be a tough person, but the disease of addiction and my need to be loved and a part of and accepted always had me in places and situations that my life was in jeopardy over and over again. But I thank God, because when you grow wise, you begin to realize and understand, just like Jerry talked about, it's only by the grace of God that we all here, because we always trying to kill ourselves. A bag at a time, a situation at a time. It's only through his grace and mercy that we find ourselves here, growing old, being men in the process of recovery. And I really wasn't really in touch with, man, that I suffered from a disease that was trying to take me out the game. When I got here, man, I had a void inside of me. I had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt inside of me. And I needed to grow up out of that, man. And I had to get past that stuff. I had to get past the abandonment. I had to get past the fears. I had to get past the inadequacies. I had to get past sitting in the rooms of isolation, blaming everybody for my situation, man. I had to start growing the fuck up. I needed to grow up, man. Then I had to, because as a kid and as a teenager in my 20s, I didn't want my children to experience what I experienced, man. And if you're doing this program, keep coming back. And you've been here for a while, I encourage you to find a reason to live. I had to find a reason to live, man. You know what I mean? Because I was definitely trying to kill myself, but I had to find a reason to live. And I've always said, man, you know, my son was my reason to live. You know what I mean? He was a little boy, and he had a twinkle in his eye. And everybody that have a child dotes over their child. You know what I mean? But the reality of it is I was so insecure and feeling so less than and so inadequate. At times I would look at the kid and believe, was the kid really mine? You know what I mean? Because we had those fears and insecurities. Is it the mailman's baby? Is that really my son? You know, is that really my child? We experienced shit like that. And I didn't have the ability to talk about the way I thought and the way I felt, man. And it kept me stuck. And it kept me angry. And it kept me fearful. But I came to this program and I began to see men begin to express their truths, man. And I began to identify with their truths, man, which began to help me start growing up and begin to start accepting myself for who I am and who I'm not, man. So I'm grateful that I started growing up in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm grateful that it was men like Jerry that was here. You know what I mean? And I'm real grateful that, you know, me and Otto, you know, like grew up together. And I'm real grateful for like me and D. Like D let me be like his you know, he was my prototype. He was my test dummy. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in this process, man. For real, man. Because you come to Narcotics Anonymous, man, and you sponsor, you're so afraid, you're so fearful using that you try to control people. You try to control outcomes. You try to control situations because you really ain't trying to go back to the hell that you left. So you try to control people, places, and things because you don't want to go back. And D was my first sponsee. You know what I mean? And I used to tell him what he should have been doing and what he shouldn't be doing. And that's control, man. You know what I mean? And control is lost the moment of suggestion. I'm going to take y'all's inventory tonight, not so much take mine. Because I got a lot of experiences with a lot of men in these rooms that's helped me along the way, man. And I'm real grateful, man. I remember me and James, man, we had caught the spirit of recovery. And we wanted to grow up. And James was a damn fool growing up too, man, in this process, man. Wilding all the way out, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking people's inventory today, knocking girls off in the church and shit. Like, what the fuck is you doing? Shit. We're supposed to be about growing spiritually in this process, man. But we were growing spiritually because you got to go through the fire. You got to go through the fire to get to the other side. See, you know, a diamond is a piece of coal put under a tremendous amount of pressure. You know, and if you survive the pressure, it turns yourself into a diamond. And that's what the process of recovery is really all about. If you do this process, recovery is about going through the funnel upside down. In the beginning of this process, it's tight. In the beginning of this process, you're afraid. In the beginning of this process, you're self-obsessed. You know what I mean? In the beginning of this process, you know, because we want it to be easy. And life ain't easy. And when life became difficult, I always ran and looked for somebody to do it for me. But for the first time in my life, I heard people in this program telling me, man, that you got to take responsibility for your life. You know, I thank God that my brother's in this program, man, that he stumbled for the first 5 years, but we here today, man. So, Andy, when I seen you and Nick sharing, man, I was like, I had a lot of gratitude, man, because you know what? Me and my only brother in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm grateful that he came, and I'm grateful that he stayed, and we both brought peace to our mother. I believe we gave our mother longevity and spirit. And life as a result of us not making her worry anymore. I remember my mother said, I brought you up right. I brought y'all up right, and all people strayed. And I knew you guys were going to find your ways about doing the right things. But I needed the program of Narcotics Anonymous to be able to get back on the right track because I was emotionally immature, man. And so I got here and I started getting with the steps. We got with the steps, man. Me, James, D, you know what I mean? We hung out and see this program is not about creed, religion, or lack of religion. It ain't about sexuality. It ain't about none of that, man. It's about spirit, man. You know what? And because your spirit will connect with another spirit in this process, man. And I always tell the story, man, that we connected with this little short dude, little bald-headed gay dude named Anthony T. He inspired us, man, because he had more insight and he had more spirit. And he had more love for this program, and they said you can only keep what you have by giving it away, and he was consistently trying to give it away. He taught us about prayer. He taught us about working the steps, man, you know, and I had a sponsor. We had sponsors, but it was something about his spirit. It was like that, because recovery is a contact sport, man. You can't do this by yourself. And we all would mount up, man, and we tapped into this process, and we start growing up, man. I was the only one in the crew that came in. Now, James might have been married too, but I was the only one that came in the crew. I was living with my wife and I had my children, man. But I came here not knowing how to fill the void. One thing I knew how to do first, get in here, is fill the void. And I tried to fill the void with all the bullshit that crack wouldn't let me do in the streets. I got in and tried to fill the void with acting like I was fatally hip, internally cool, sleeping around with other women. But I was a married man getting here, and it felt good. But it always feels good till you get caught. You know, we got a saying, it always feels good going in, but it hurt like hell coming out. And that's real, man. And I had to get to experience that, man. And what I'm going to tell you, the only reason why I've been able to stay as long as I have been is it's the language of the program of Narcotics Anonymous. The language of the program of Narcotics Anonymous helps you put your finger on exactly what's going on with you. You're self-centered. You're self-obsessed. You're caught in the trap house. You're full of anger, resentment, and fear. That's the trap house. And I lived in the trap house all my life. And I didn't know how to combat the trap house until I got to the program of Narcotics Anonymous. I constantly lived in anger, resentment, and fear. And it wasn't based on the things that I needed. I began to realize and understand I'm in a triangle self-obsession, and it's based on the shit that I want. It ain't the things that I need. God has always provided me for the things that I've needed. God has always given me what I needed. It was the things that I want that had me angry, resentful, and fearful, because you know what? My biggest belief is that, man, that I had to impress you. It was more important about how you saw me than rather how I felt about myself, man. And you know what? That's a process of abandoning oneself. And so I had to learn how to grow up in this program. And I started growing up by working the steps, because the steps is really nothing but telling your story. You know, the first, 9 steps is you taking your inventory. You know, the first step is really saying that the drug controlled you, you didn't control it. The first step is letting you really understand you really got this damn disease, obsession and compulsion, and being in a state of denial. You know what I mean? Living in fantasy. You know what I mean? It's all that stuff, man. And I had to sit here, and so this language began to help me identify what was going on with me so I could grow up. Recovery's a foreign land, if you knew. And you can't go to a foreign land and navigate that land without learning the language. And so you had to learn the language in the program of Narcotics Anonymous in order for this shit to work for you. That's why some of us struggle. That's why it was really important that they told us in the beginning, get a dictionary too, and read and understand what these words mean, because word feeds spirit. Words feed your spirit, man. Love feeds your spirit, and words feed your spirit. And the word that was created as a result of Jimmy K and all those people that put this book together, man, began to feed my spirit and begin to change the condition of my life. And I started growing up. And I started growing up, and I got it for a while, and I started growing wise. And the wisdom was to know the fact that I couldn't beat this disease on my own. The wisdom, the reality was the fact that I needed some help. The reality was the fact is, man, that you know what? I needed to really get real about who I am and who I'm not in this process in order to move forward, man. And what I knew about George, after feeling good for a while, I knew George is sensitive. I know George got a big fucking ego. I mean, I know that George is loving, George is caring, George is understanding, but George is sensitive, man. And my sensitivity always ran me into isolation. And that's the true goal of the disease of addiction. I don't believe the disease will kill you, because I believe God give life and God take life. I believe that. And you know what? And when God takes a life, he gives some other people that were surrounded by that kid's person freedom. See, when you die, grandma stop worrying. You know, when you die, they can go on with their life. You know what I mean? And this is what I believe, because we all try to kill ourselves. We all try to, so I really believe that, man, that in this process, man, God gives life and God will take life. And if I wanted to stay in life, and if I wanted my mother to stop suffering, and I wanted to be a decent example for my brother, and if I wanted to be a decent father for my children, and if I wanted to be a decent husband to my wife, then I had to grow up, man. I had to really start taking responsibility for my life, man. And guess what? When I took responsibility for my life, guess what started happening? I started getting some self-esteem. I started getting some self-worth. And I started getting some dignity. And I started getting some peace. There ain't no peace when your bills ain't paid, especially when you fuck the money up. Ain't no peace in that, man. So I had to start growing wise, man, that you know what? When I face my personal responsibility, my self-esteem gets broadened. I become buoyant. I can stand up. I can stand up straight. I ain't got to lie. I ain't got to hide. I ain't got to manipulate, and I ain't got to con. I just got to learn how to like be responsible, man. Because when I first got here, man, the bill would be 100. Something about a drug addict. A dope fiend only want to pay 80. A dope fiend don't want to give it all up. Because I can't show you nothing after. I can't impress you with an empty pocket, man. I didn't know a peace of mind was the most important thing about this process, man. And I had to keep coming back, man. And I'm grateful, man. I've been all around this country. And I'm grateful that I had clean in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Because when I got to Pittsburgh, and I've been to other cities around this country, you know, and their definition of recovery is mink coats, diamond rings, alligator shoes. And so when you think you got to get that shit to be a part of this. But I came here, I seen hard hats. People had paint stains on their fucking pants. You know what I'm saying? You know, I seen people that went to work at the steel mill. I seen people that got a job. That's represented recovery. People coming to the meeting after they just left work. And we had a lady named Dot Talley. When people would be arrogant, talking popping shit in the daytime meeting, and I heard her say one time, "Baby, you got a job?" Because they were talking shit but wasn't working nowhere in America. You know what I mean? And they were stunting their own growth. I caught that. I started going wise, man. I started understanding what she was talking about. You know, you just talking shit here in recovery, man, but you ain't doing it. Recovery is an action. It ain't clean time don't equal recovery, man. Recovery is about regaining what was lost. Recovery is about waking up lost dreams and new possibilities. Recovery is getting into mainstream society, man. Recovery is about growing the fuck up and being a man. Because the difference between a boy and a man is responsibility. That's it. And you know, being a man ain't how good you sex no woman. Being a man ain't got nothing to do how much you can lift on a weight bench. It don't got nothing to do with none of that shit. And sometimes in recovery, we get caught up in this illusion that things and how you got a right hook and how many girls you done fuck makes you a man. You know, that shit will make you trifling if you ain't being responsible for those things. And I just started getting into it, and I started growing wise, man, because, you know, I was a titty boy when I got here. I was always looking for a woman to do for me what I should have been doing for myself so I can impress you. But I was looking like a man, talking like a man, but I wasn't feeling like a man. Because when she started talking, when she started threatening me, when she started telling me the truth about me, it would diminish me. And I've been married a long time. You know what I'm saying? You know, one thing a woman can't tell you how to be no man. Women don't know what it feels like to be a man. But men know what it feels like to be a man. And we know what it feels like to be a man not doing their job. And we know what it feels like being a man doing what you need to do. And we experience that, and we find that here in the program in Narcotics Anonymous because we have these living examples here, man. And so I'm grateful, man, that I've come into this program. I tapped into this fellowship. I opened my eyes, and I listened to learn, and I learned to listen. There ain't no big guys, no little U's in here. Ain't nobody better than nobody in this process. We all on a journey together, growing into manhood, moving forward in life, being the men that we really want to be. And we see it happen, man. You're like it's a beautiful thing, man, that when you see people grow in this process, man. Because when you see people grow in this process, that means you're growing too. See, if you can't spot growth, then you don't got growth in you. See, when you can't spot growth, you become jealous and envious. You know what I'm saying? And backbiting and hating. Because you know what? You can't see the growth in them because you ain't seen the growth in you. Once you start seeing the growth in you, you can start seeing the growth in others, man. You know what I mean? So I had to start getting with that shit. You know what? This ain't no competition in Narcotics Anonymous. And this is service. This don't mean I got it all together. Because I don't got it together without y'all. And it ain't always about sponsor that's done a lot. It's my support group. It's the men that I sponsor. It's the men in my life. You know what I mean? It's the challenges that I watched them go through and not use. Give me the courage and belief that if I have to go through, I don't have to use either. So this ain't about time. It's about experience. It's about we're all. If you just I ain't lost my mother. That's going to be experience that I might have to work through one day, man. And I've seen people with a lot less time work through that experience clean. And that's the hope, man. You know, I've seen people lose jobs in this process, man. You know, and don't give up, but hang in. You know, sponsorship is the heart of the program of Narcotics Anonymous, that you do need a guide. You know, I really believe a sponsor is a man that's been in this process and this journey a little longer than you, and they can probably give you something to help complete the puzzle. Sometimes my support group helped me put most of the puzzle together, but then I humble myself to a sponsor, and they help me complete the piece. They help me to move forward. And if you don't have a man in your life direct you to trust God, you got the wrong people in your life. Because it's always about growing wise. If you're growing wise, you begin to realize and understand that our true source and courage comes from the God of our understanding. That's where our recovery comes from. And you should have men in your life pointing you toward God when it becomes difficult. You need to have men in your life telling you to hang on, believe God will show up for you. You need men in your life to tell you the truth, man. You selfish. You need men in your life to tell you the truth, man. You need to do this. You need to stop doing that, man. It ain't giving direct, because addict don't do nothing unless they want to. What they tell us about is we can be beaten, preached at, locked the fuck up, counseled, threatened. An addict won't stop nothing until they're ready to stop. So do we really tell anybody what they do? Are we really controlling an addict? We ain't controlling no motherfucking addict in here. Addicts do what the hell they want. And so you have to choose recovery. You have to choose growing spiritually. You have to choose developing. You have to choose. You know what I mean? It ain't forced upon you. You have to choose it, man. And that's growing wise. That's growing wise, man, in this process, knowing that you can't control another addict's life or situation, because you lose control trying to control. So I laugh at people. I hug them. I tell them it's going to be all right. I'm telling you, it's going to work out for you, man. I tell you, ask God to help you. You know what I mean? That's what I tell people. I don't tell people what to do anymore. You know what I mean? I don't. I used to, but I grow wise and begin to realize, no, that don't work. People got to get their own experiences in this process, man. You know. So if you've been here for a little while, you might work a couple steps, and most of us get into this self-righteous piece. You know, the wonder years of your recovery. I wonder if they work in a program because I'm working a hell of a program. Because you think somebody ain't working a hell of a program, you know, you being self-righteous, man. And there's another thing in this process I had to learn about. I've grown wise. It's a word that we don't talk about. It's creed. Creed is, I don't cheat on my wife, I don't put my hands on my wife, and I don't do this and I don't do that, you know what I mean, because God said this and God said that, man. Everybody's in the process, man. And this is creed. This is about lack of creed, religion. It ain't about creed. And I preached a lot of creed. I did. I preached a lot of creed. I ain't never cheated on my wife in no man's time. And guess what? I cheated on my fucking wife a time. I made them mistakes, man. And I had to learn from that stuff, man. I grow wise in this process. Everybody's in a process, man. You know what I mean? I've fallen short in this thing, man. I ain't perfect. I don't walk on water. Don't no man walk on water in this process. I've come up short over and over again, man. And the beautiful thing is, man, that I've been able to survive it. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the most profound, this is one of the coldest words that we don't really pay attention to. Betrayal. Betrayal's a cold piece. You know what betrayal is? Betrayal is when some shit come out the bushes that you didn't expect. You know, because you come to recover and expect things to be hunky-dory and things to go and be peachy cream, but your health will betray you. Your fucking wife might betray you. Your job might betray you. And then you get caught up in an obsession and betray your damn self, man. And that's what it's talking about. Emotional maturity. Emotional and spiritual crisis. You know, it comes out of being betrayed, man. When you've been betrayed, you're going to be in an emotional, spiritual crisis. Whether you committed to betrayal yourself or was committed towards you, you're going to put you in an emotional, spiritual crisis. It ain't the end of the world. It's an opportunity for growth and development. You know what I mean? That's what I begin to realize and understand, man, that I messed up in this process. My wife, infidelity has been a part of this journey. It has been, man. Part of this journey, man, you know, that's betrayal. And betrayal breeds paranoia. Betrayal means mistrust. You know what I mean? So you have to work through that stuff with the spiritual principles of Narcotics Anonymous to put down the betrayal, because the disease of addiction's goal is to put you in isolation and don't tell nobody shit about you ever again. That's his goal, where he can beat you up and beat you down, because things are going to betray you. You're going to be betrayed by things in this thing called life. And I'm really in touch with that, man. And it causes emotional, spiritual unbalance. And that's why we work steps. And that's why we learn how to, not talk about the dirty shit we did in addiction, not the dirty shit we did in regret, but learn how to grab on these spiritual principles contained in the 12 steps. That's growing wise will allow me to grow old. If I can hold on to these spiritual principles, I'm going to grow wiser. If I hold on and trust them, because you know what? I've had enough honesty to stay. I've had enough open-mindedness to stay. I've had enough willingness to stay. I've had enough humility to stay. And I've had enough forgiveness to stay. And I've been able to get outside my self-centered ass and be of service in order to stay. Because, you know, you don't really feel whole in this process until you're in the process of giving, not always trying to get. Don't get so caught up in trying to get, because you're trying to get, you know, and it don't come, because addict is like not enough and one more. It ain't never enough when you're an addict. When you're caught up in addiction, it ain't never enough, man. And you're only going to have a few days, like Jerry said, you just know it's all right. I've only had a couple perfect days in recovery, but I've had experiences when I know God is working through me, helping another addict. Got things coming out of me, saying things that's like, they're like, their eyes is lighting up. Like, then you know you're being used as a vessel, man. Because we come to the light, and if you work these 12 steps, unclutter your damaged spirit, you become a light in somebody else's eyes. And that's what this is really all about, man. It ain't, look, God works through us, not just for us, man. So I wanted to be in perfect position to be able to help people. You know, sometimes I don't need a hug. Sometimes I need $20. Sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes we need a hug. Sometimes we need a listening ear. Sometimes we need a couple dollars. Sometimes we need a favor, man. You know what I mean? That's what this process is really all about, man. I'm telling you something. We ease the pain of living through spiritual principles, man. You know, that's the purpose of this fellowship, man. Find out what people got to offer them, just another day clean. People got a lot to offer. A lot of men got a lot to offer you in this fellowship, man. A lot. But you got to keep making meetings and find out what they have to offer. That's what this is really all about. And I'm grateful that I'm just here. You know, I ain't here to like, I'm just blessed, man. And I just know that, man. And I've gotten everything I've been looking for in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. And what I've always been looking for, some understanding, some love, and some respect. And first, you got to give it to yourself. When you start understanding who you are through these 12 steps, you start loving yourself and start respecting yourself, you'll demand it from others. You won't let nobody. So that's mean you got to know how to take care of yourself as a man. I am not pussy whoop. I know how to pay my bills. You know what I mean? I had to tell myself and put myself in, because I love my wife. I don't want to lose my wife. You know what I mean? But I had to put myself in position. If she go, I got to believe I can still make it. You can't put all your eggs in that basket, man. You know what I'm saying? That I got to know how to be more self-reliant, more self-sufficient, more self-supporting. I pay my bills. I iron my clothes. I wash my clothes. And if I got to cook, I will. And I'll jack off if I need to. Real shit, man. Because I begin to realize and understand, man, that a man don't need a whole lot of love. A man need a whole lot of respect. Now, a woman is looking to feel love. A man is looking to feel respect. That's why we trick. Because the trick show you some respect for those 10, 15 minutes. How you want it, daddy? How was your day? You know, they respecting you. Huh? Because they trying to get something out of your pocket, man. And once they got what's out of your pocket, the respect ends. But that's why we go out and do that shit. I don't know how to make my wife respect me. Because I start respecting myself. And I respect my wife. My wife respects me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I tell people all the time. And so you know what? You can have whatever you want in the program of Narcotics Anonymous. Dreams do come true here. All you got to do is line your will up with the will of God. And how do we line our will up with the will of God? We line ourselves up with the spiritual principle contained in the 12 steps. We line ourselves up with honesty when it's needed. We need to be open to grow further. We need to be willing to try some things, even our head is telling us it ain't going to work for us. You know what I mean? We got to have humility. We have to have forgiveness in our life. You know what I mean? We have to get outside of ourselves and serve others. You know what I mean? That's what this is all about, man. When we do that, wonderful things happen in our lives. They said lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise, man. But I'm here to tell you, man, it's the men in this fellowship that give me the hope and belief that I can get another day, man. I see Jim in service. You know what I mean? I watched Andrew and his brother, man. You know, I love y'all, man. I seen Mark come from the jail system to stay out for 12 years, man. You know, that's powerful shit, man. You better look and see who's around you, man. I seen Otto push a lawnmower to having a multi-million-dollar business, man. You know, that's some powerful shit, man. You better pay attention to what's around you. There's some giant killers in here, man. There's some giant people in this program, man. You understand what I'm telling you? You just got to pay attention. And you guess what? You got to be willing to go through your own door of opportunity and quit fucking around at somebody, because there's 3 doors. The doors of missed opportunity, the doors of your opportunity, and the doors of others' opportunity. And a whole lot of times we be looking at other people's opportunity and don't walk through our own door of opportunity. And then we become haters in this fucking program. Go through your own door of opportunity. Create some goals, visions, and values for yourself. Practice these spiritual principles and watch it happen in your life, man. You know, the key to God and prayer creates patience. If we pray, things happen. When we pray and we meditate, it produces an action. And sometimes the action is not to react. Sometimes the action is to move forward. You know what I mean? Prayer is a powerful thing, so I encourage you to pray. Ask the God of your understanding what you need, man. I ask God every day, God, give me everything I need to be able to move forward. I don't ask you for specific things. I ask him to put everything in me that I need to be able to be a successful man a day at a time. And I get up a day at a time, man, and I face shit, because that's what men do. Men don't run. Men face life on life's terms. I say, fuck, and I face it. Damn, shit, and I face it. I used to be like, fuck that, I ain't doing that shit. That's what I used to do. I ain't doing it, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Those are deadly words for me. Now, I still cuss. Because, you know, you can, man, cussing, this ain't no clean mouth program. It's a program in action. 11 Step talks about results count. They say the proof of this program will reflect in the way you live your life. It'll show. You know what I'm saying? You can't perpetrate a fraud long around here. It'll show, man. You know, you got to show them and say when you can't do it, just say you can't do it. And I'm in touch, we're going to get out of here, man. Something about America tells you that everybody, if you don't get the gold medal, you ain't shit. Everybody ain't built for a gold medal. You might only be built for a fucking bronze. That's what they tell us, self-acceptance on a deep level. It takes time. You know, I can't lift 250 over my head. Andrew can. I can. I want to. I would like to. I'll get to it. I can't. Andrew can snatch it up, but I can. I got to accept that. Some things I can't do. Some things I ain't meant to do. You know what I mean? So, you know, I can get 100 up. Self-acceptance. It's about self-acceptance, man. That's the deal, man. We got to learn how to accept ourselves for who we are and who we're not, man. You know what I mean? And have visions and dreams and goals for yourself and start working for it. But guess what? I can't lift 250 over my head by myself. But with your help, I can. Huh? Drew, grab the other side of that bar. I know I can hold 125 up. Can you get the other 25 up for me? And that's the purpose of this fellowship, man, is that we help each other meet life on life's terms, man. We do it together. And we do it together as men. And that's what this is really all about, man. You know, it was an honor and a privilege for me to just come, you know, talk about, you know, because it creates stability. Huh? You need people in your life to help you stay stable. You know, if a car hits a light pole and it cracks the light pole, guess what Duquesne Light does? It don't always take the whole pole out. Sometimes it'll stick a pole right up against it and support that motherfucker, man. And it can continue to give current and continue to do the job it needs to be done. And we do that for each other, man. That sometimes we be fractured and we need some support. Sometimes we need a man just to stand beside us, encourage us, hug us. You know what I mean? So we can continue to carry on the task that we've been designed to carry on. So live your life, man. Enjoy your life. There's a lot of living out here to do. And somebody taught me, man, if you ain't traveling, you ain't living. And we was talking to the boys in the back. We was kicking it in the back, man. And it's real, man. God, you leaving here quick or slow? In a flash, or you going to linger? That's how we leave this earth. And if you linger, when you laying on your deathbed, what can you reflect and say about yourself? What have you left behind? What have you done? Where have you been? What have you tried? Or are you just spiritual explorers and spiritual tourists? You know, a spiritual tourist, a spiritual explorer will get out there and try some shit. My man did the thing on risk-taking behavior. Going out and fucking somebody is risk-taking behavior. You know, that's some risk-taking shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like getting out there trying some shit. Finding out that shit is not good for your spirit and getting back on track, man. It's my experience. I thank God that I survived it. Because stability for us, man, is to try shit but don't use. When we don't use, that's stability. And so we only wrote this program one day at a time. Huh? We only got to do this shit just for the day, man. You ain't do shit forever. A day at a time. Days grow into weeks, weeks grow into months, months grow into years, years grow into decades. I can't believe I ain't smoked crack in over 31 years, man. I can't believe it. I can't believe I didn't say fuck it. I ain't going back. I was a quitter, man. I always took my ball and went home. For 31 years, I have not taken my ball and went home. In those 31 years, I've been hurt. I've been disappointed. I've been talked about. I've failed. I've made some mistakes, but I haven't quit. And my man Von T says this, and we're going to get out of it. He said, I fell 21 times, but I got up 22. Huh? But I got up 22. So we're going to fall in this process of making mistakes. You ain't got to stay down. Get back up. You back up, D? Stay the fuck up. We got you. We love you. You hear me? We love you, man. Yeah, miss you, man. You know what I mean? I love you guys, man. Y'all have helped me tremendously in my recovery. Hank, I love you. Andrew, I love you. Mark, I love you. Jerry, respect. You know what I'm saying? Phil, thank you for your service, buddy. Yeah, love you, man. For real, man. Some great Phil. Love you, man. Huh? Dre, love you, man. Y'all doing it. Dale, love you, man. Algie, love you. You know what I'm saying? Love you guys, man. Jim Burt, love you, man. If I don't know your name, Patty, love you, man. Dave, Daryl, Paul, Reese, love you guys, man. Y'all made, I see you back there, you non-fishing ass Floyd, back in the back. Love you, Lester, non-fishing Lester back there. Love you, man. Y'all make life worth living, man. Chess, love you, man. Y'all make life worth living. If I name your name, it's just because I don't know it. Charge it to my head, not my heart, because it takes a village to raise a child. And that's what we're doing with each other. We're raising each other up in this process. Thanks for allowing me to share. I'm going to keep coming back.